Welcome, I'm Brian the Builder, and in this video, I'm going to be building and customizing this Force Impulse Gundam. This is my first concept that I took into Photoshop and did a color work on. And then my son actually worked over the top and gave me the color scheme that he would prefer. The idea is that this is going to be displayed with his computer desk area, which is all black and wood tones. So here I'm just basically cutting the sprues apart to separate the different sections into the different base colors that they're going to be painted. For the most part, the yellow pieces are going to be a light gray, these light blue pieces are going to be a light gray, and the red and blue are both going to be shades of brown. All the white parts are going to be this dark gray color, so it's going to be a very dark model, but in the end it's going to look really cool. Hey, no time like the present. If you're digging what I'm doing, please hit that like button and please subscribe. I do think that this deep dark brown is a really beautiful brown, but as we get into the next color, you may remember from the concept art that my son and I did that he didn't really want yellow in there. Well, this leather brown is a bit yellowish, but it ends up looking really cool in the long run. So I was a bit hesitant here at first as I started laying this down, but overall, the color scheme works together really, really well. I think it did need this kind of pop of this yellowy brown in there to really get everything else to stand out nicely. I was really excited to build this little core fighter. I did not realize when I first put this together that it was going to be completely hidden on the inside of the body once the body was actually assembled. There are a few very strange variations of how you can use the torso and the legs as their own little separate fighters, but that is not how this is going to be displayed. I put in way more time on this little fighter unit than I really would have needed to had I known that it was going to be completely buried on the inside of the torso. It is essentially the connection between the upper body and the lower body. I'm not quite sure how I completely misread the instructions as I was putting the wings on, but I assembled it with the wings swept forward, which does actually look quite cool, but is completely wrong. So later on, as I went to kind of assemble the body, I realized that the wings were in the wrong position, and then had to kind of pop the two halves of the fighter apart and reposition the wings before I could sweep them back and then hide it inside the rest of the torso. Figuring out how to add the LED into this teeny tiny head unit was actually more of a challenge than pretty much any of the other LEDs I've added to models before. This thing is ridiculously small, and hollowing out parts of the head to get the LED room enough to sit in there was bizarre. It's just such a tiny little piece here that there's just not really a good spot to add the LED. I was considering actually adding multiple LEDs to get the top and rear camera or light or whatever they actually are to be a different color, but that was just not possible. I have kind of decided that using UV resin to hold LEDs in place is a really good way to do it. The UV resin tends to be a bit more flexible than something like super glue, and then I don't really have to worry at all about the super glue bond kind of snapping or breaking later. So after beating on that LED as much as I had to, I do just want to check and make sure it still works. And good. And so we went with orange just because it should look really nice with all the brown tones.
You wouldn't normally add the head this early on in the overall build, but I really kind of felt like I needed to figure out exactly how and where the wiring was going to go down through the torso, so it definitely needed to be added at this point.
So even though the core fighter is hidden away on the inside of the body, at least this cool little silhouette fighter is going to be able to be displayed alongside the Gundam. The transforming ability of this little core fighter is actually very cool. It is what allows it to become the connection between the upper and lower parts of the body. The exact way it actually goes inside is not incredibly clear based on the directions, in my opinion. So I did have to struggle for a while to actually figure out how it was supposed to go in there. These being the only black plastic parts in the entire kit are actually very cool that they're really featured along with a large amount of this lighter brown color. It's going to look really cool together, and the way the wings are able to transform is also very cool and adds a lot of dynamic posing, at least the capability of a lot of dynamic posing to this model kit. We are getting really close to the grand reveal, so please stick around to the very end so you can catch that. And if you've been here this long, let me just say I really appreciate your time. And if you haven't already, please hit that like button and please subscribe.